I am currently a first year in the Trinity College Dublin Columbia University dual BA program. I am currently studying Middle Eastern and European languages and culture with the intent to pursue a degree in political science in years 3 and 4 at Columbia University. And today I'm going to be talking all things dual BA with you. So when I tell people what I'm doing for university, the first thing they always ask me is, what exactly is the dual BA? So the dual BA is a joint academic venture between Trinity College Dublin and Columbia University. Columbia actually has 2 other dual BA programs, one in conjunction with Sciences Po in France and the other with Tel Aviv University in Israel. I highly recommend you also check those programs out as well. They're equally as cool, though I'm a little biased when I say Trinity is the best dual BA program. So the way the program works is that it's a 4-year undergraduate degree program. You spend years 1 and 2 living and studying in Dublin, Ireland, attending Trinity College Dublin, and then years 3 and 4 living and studying in New York City whilst attending Columbia University. What's unique though about the dual BA, and as it says in its name, is that you actually graduate with 2 bachelor's degrees through this program. Your first bachelor's degree is from Trinity College Dublin, and your second one is from Columbia University. Each degree is going to be in whichever dual BA pathway that you chose, and those options expand for years 3 and 4 at Columbia. It's kind of the ultimate study abroad experience. You get to spend 2 full years fully immersed in Ireland, and then you get to spend 2 full years fully immersed in New York. But what's also really great about the program is that unlike other study abroad programs, you are actually a full-time student of both universities for all 4 years. So you have access to resources at Columbia and resources at Trinity, as well as professors and advisors for all 4 years, no matter which campus you're currently attending at. What's also really cool about the program is that you also get to participate in a major capstone project your final year of the program, where you get to work with professors from both universities to write your final thesis. It is truly an amazing program. I know I'm a little biased since I'm in it, but a lot of people haven't really heard about it, so I thought I would just do this video today to kind of give you guys some more information, because I've had a lot of people reach out and just ask me some of these questions. So keep watching if this sounds really cool to you. So you're probably asking yourself now, what are the dual BA pathways? So unlike other universities, especially those in the States where you get to go in undecided or change your mind halfway through your 4-year program, in the dual BA, you have to be pretty set on what you want to study. So if you're somebody who's still really unsure about what they want to pursue at university, or afraid they might change their mind, this might not be the program for you. I know for myself though, I had always wanted to study milk and political science. Ever since I was a little kid, that was all I had ever wanted to pursue. So I knew for me that there was really going to be no way I was going to change my mind halfway through this program. So it really was kind of perfect for me, but do keep that in mind when applying. The way the dual BA pathways work is that in years 1 and 2, you have to choose from 1 different degree options. So those degree options are classics, ancient history and archaeology, English studies, European studies, film, geoscience, geography and geoscience, history, history of art and architecture, Middle Eastern and European languages and culture, neuroscience, biological and biomedical sciences, philosophy and religion. So you are set in stone when you apply into the program for which of those degrees you're going to do for years 1 and 2. You study those degrees along with other traditional 4-year Trinity College Dublin students. You do all the same courses as them. So that's kind of set in stone what you do. So years 3 and 4, you have a bit more flexibility depending on the degree that you're pursuing. Some degrees, there's only 1 choice of degree that you're allowed to pursue at Columbia, but other degrees do have numerous options that you get to choose from. So for classics, ancient history and archaeology, the degrees you can pursue at Columbia are ancient studies, archaeology, classics or classical studies. For English studies, you can only pursue English at Columbia, but for European studies, you have the option of French, German literature and cultural history, history, Hispanic studies with specialization, Italian, political science, and Slavic studies, all as options at Columbia. For film, your degree at Columbia will be film and media studies, and for geoscience, your Columbia degree will be earth science. Same with history, you will also continue to pursue history whilst at Columbia. Now for history of art and architecture, you get to choose between art history and visual arts, architecture, history, and theory. For Middle Eastern and European languages and culture, you get to choose between history, Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African studies, political science, or religion when at Columbia. Neuroscience at Trinity allows you to pursue neuroscience and behavior at Columbia, and philosophy, you get to continue with philosophy at Columbia, and with religion, you also get to continue with religion at Columbia. So there's a bit more flexibility in years 3 and 4, and even if your degree doesn't change, depending on the pathway you're interested in, you do get to choose more modules, more optional modules when you get to Columbia. So if there's a language you want to pursue, or you want to take an extra math or science class, you do have that flexibility, which is really nice. So not all of the degrees are set in stone, but some of them are. So do just keep that in mind when applying. Founded in 1592, Trinity College Dublin is Ireland's leading university with over 17,000 students from 122 different countries. It offers over 170 student societies, sports clubs, and publications, and has an alumni network that is over 140,000 people strong in 150 different countries worldwide. Its notable alumni include Jonathan Swift, Oscar Wilde, Samuel Beckett, and Mary Robinson. The campus itself is located in the heart of Dublin and is within walking distance of many of Ireland's most famous and notable landmarks and museums. Located in the heart of New York City, Columbia University was founded in 1754 as King's College and is the 5th oldest institution of higher learning in the United States, and is currently ranked one of the top universities in the world. The School of General Studies, which is the specific undergraduate college that offers the dual BA, was founded in 1947 and currently has more than 2,500 undergraduate students enrolled. The university itself has more than 31,000 enrolled students, a student-to-faculty ratio of 6:1, and has 79 Nobel laureates currently affiliated with the university. The university offers more than 500 student clubs, organizations, and volunteer opportunities to students, as well as being a member of the NCAA Division I Sports League. The university has 22 libraries and more than 70 centers and institutes for specialized research, as well as an endowment of more than $9 billion. Its alumni network is over 250,000 strong and is located throughout the U.S. and 180 foreign countries. Okay, so let's talk the Columbia core and academic policies. So like all Columbia University students, dual BA students must successfully complete the Columbia core to graduate. The core curriculum includes at least one class in university writing, one in literature and humanities, another in language, one in arts humanities, as well as music humanities, a global core class, a class in contemporary civilization and social sciences, as well as classes in quantitative reasoning and science. Now, a lot of these requirements you can actually fulfill through courses taken in high school or through certain exams such as the SAT or ACT, and you can also complete a lot of these requirements whilst at Trinity. So the way the academic courses work for both universities is that at Trinity, your courses are pretty much set for years 1 and 2. Depending on the major, you do have some flexibility, but for the most part, you pretty much know going in what your classes are going to look like for years 1 and 2. Years 3 and 4, you will get a bit more flexibility, like I mentioned before. You get to choose which courses you want to take to fulfill the remaining requirements left in your core curriculum, as well as the option to pursue concentrations depending on the degree you're pursuing. So this means that you are technically not actually doing 8 years of work in 4 years. You're doing a lot of overlap work. work. So a lot of courses at Trinity will transfer over to Columbia and vice versa, and this is how you end up getting all the credits necessary to get a degree from each university. It's a little confusing, but as you go along in the program, you have advisors there along every single step who will help you through everything and make the process super easy. So I really wouldn't sweat it now through the admissions process. Just know that there are certain courses at Columbia that you do have to take off, and it's not just Trinity that has courses that you're required to take. Okay, so advisors. Like I mentioned, you work super close with academic advisors from both Trinity and Columbia for all 4 years. Your Columbia advisors in particular work with you every single semester whilst you're at Trinity. They make sure that you are staying on course with all of the degree requirements that you need to meet, as well as making sure that you are pursuing courses that might potentially help you fulfill core requirements at Columbia before actually getting to New York City. The advisors are super helpful, they're super nice, they often do group meetings, but you can also request to do one-on-one meetings with them. They will help you with any questions you have about the program. They'll put you in contact with the career centers, different professors if you have questions, and they're also really great because you can just email with them back and forth all the time and they'll be really helpful. Trinity doesn't actually have advisors. They have something called a personal tutor. A personal tutor is pretty much the same thing that most European and UK and Irish students are used to, but for Americans, a personal tutor is not actually a tutor. It's more of a faculty member who is there to be kind of the liaison between you, the university administration, and other professors. So they're kind of your point of contact if you're ever struggling in a class, if something's going on in your personal life that you need help with. They're kind of a bit of like a guidance counselor for you. But they're a really great resource as well that you get through the dual BA. So you're never like completely lost in this program. It's kind of impossible to get lost. There's always somebody checking in on you and somebody willing to help you. This is also extremely helpful for the transition period, which is when you switch from Trinity College Dublin to Columbia University. So this is the transition between years 2 and 3. You'll work super closely with your advisors during this period and they'll make sure that everything goes super smoothly for you. What's also really cool though about this transition is that this is when you also get to meet up with other dual BA students. So like I mentioned before, Columbia also has 2 other dual BA programs, one with Sciences Po in France and the other with Tel Aviv University in Israel. So when you get to Columbia, you will also be paired up with all of these other students. So it's really cool. Suddenly your small cohort that you've been with for the first 2 years is going to expand greatly. And it's really awesome. So you suddenly get a huge dual BA community when you arrive at Columbia, which also helps to really ease that transition into becoming a Columbia student. So again, don't really fret about this until you actually get into the program, and this is something you really need to think about. But trust me when I say the advisors and personal tutors here are amazing. Okay, so I'm not going to get super in-depth into the admissions process here because I do have another whole video just on the admissions and interview process. I'm going to link that down in the description box if you want to go check that out. But unlike other universities, especially for those in the States, the dual BA does have certain minimum academic and score requirements that you have to meet. Those can be specifically found depending on the major you want to apply to, and then there's also required minimums depending on the country you're from and whatever degree you're pursuing. That means there's a minimum SAT score, a minimum ACT score, as well as minimum Leaving Cert, A-level, IB, etc. scores as well that you have to have. Those are all going to be linked down below in the description box as well if you want to go and check those out and make sure that you're meeting them. So that is, I guess, what you could technically call the first round of admissions, is just making sure you have the minimum requirements for the degree that you're applying to. The first official round of admissions, though, is just like any other college admissions process. You submit an essay, letters of recommendation, your transcript, your test scores. Pretty simple. You just send that off, and then you have a second round. So you'll hear probably like late February, early March, whether or not you were offered an interview. So the interview process is kind of the most important part of all of this. You'll know by then whether or not you're going to be continuing in the admissions process or if you have been sadly released from the admissions pool. So the way the interview process works is you either can go to Dublin or New York City, or you can do a Zoom interview online. Not exactly sure how they're going to be doing it since we're in the middle of a global pandemic right now. I would assume it's probably all going to be on Zoom, but it's a panel interview where they're going to question you about everything that you put in your application, why you specifically want to apply for the degree that you did, etc., etc. Like I said, I have an entire admissions video on it below with all of my tips and tricks, so I highly recommend if you're looking to apply that you go and check that one out. Okay, so extracurriculars and social life. This is probably a perfect segue into one of my most asked questions, which is, as a dual BA student, do I ever feel separate from the rest of the student body? And the answer is no. Whilst at Trinity and while at Columbia, you are not exempt from joining any sort of extracurricular or social activity. You can join any sports clubs, any societies, any extracurricular clubs that you want, even sororities and fraternities. There's nothing you're exempt from joining. This means that you are a completely active member of the social life here at Trinity and at Columbia. It means you never really feel separate from the other students. You're going to make great friends with people who are four-year students at Columbia and people who are four-year students at Trinity. While you're definitely going to have a special connection with people within the dual BA since you do spend the full 4 years with them, it doesn't in any way derail the opportunity to meet and make friends outside of the program. So one of the biggest perks of being a dual BA student is that you are guaranteed housing for all 4 years of the program. That means at Trinity, you are guaranteed student housing in years 1 and 2, and at Columbia, you are also guaranteed student housing in years 3 and 4. This doesn't mean that you have to live in student accommodation, but it's often highly recommended since Dublin and New York are both very difficult and very expensive cities to rent in. So at Trinity, if you choose to go with student accommodation, your first year you'll live in Trinity Hall with other freshers. I'm currently living in Trinity Halls, and even in the middle of a global pandemic, it's super fun. I really like my roommates. The social life is really fun here, and I really like the flat that I happen to live in. The accommodations are really good. And then in year 2, you go to Kwabena Court. Again, I haven't heard anything bad about it. You'll be living with other Trinity students. And then in New York at Columbia, you will have years 3 and 4 living in apartment style living for dual BA students. This means that for all 4 years, you do typically live in your own bedroom, but share kitchen and common room areas with other flatmates. This leads then to the second part, which is dining. So unlike most US universities where you buy into a meal plan and there is a dining hall that you can go to 3 times a day, you actually have to cook for yourself in this program. This is something that's been a huge learning curve for me actually since I arrived. Still learning. I'm not exactly the best cook yet, but I'm getting there. In years 1 and 2 at Trinity, you are required to buy your own groceries and to cook your own food. There is no meal plan to buy into. This is really your only option, so just be prepared for that. And then at Columbia, you do have the option of buying into a meal plan, but typically most people do tend to stick to just buying their own groceries and cooking their own food just because they find it easier, and because again, there is a kitchen provided for all 4 years if you choose to take student accommodation through the universities. Okay, so tuition and financial aid. So the way tuition works in the dual BA program is that you pay tuition towards whatever university you are currently attending at that time. This means for years 1 and 2, you pay tuition and accommodation fees directly towards Trinity College Dublin, which means as an international student, you pay whatever the international student tuition rates are for Trinity College Dublin and whatever the accommodation fees are. If you're an EU or Irish student, you then pay whatever that EU and Irish student rate is for tuition and accommodation towards Trinity College Dublin. At Columbia, you just pay whatever the Columbia tuition and accommodation fee is for that year, and that's what you do for years 3 and 4. You can apply for financial aid through this program, and then scholarships and grants also apply through all 4 years. It's fairly complex considering you're doing years 1 and 2 overseas and years 3 and 4 in the States, especially if you're an American student. So if finances are something you're worried about, I highly recommend looking into it. Again, I'll be posting links down below that you can go and look at, and that should hopefully give you a better picture of what the financial commitment would be for this program. So just to give a little breakdown on what the class of 2024 looked like, there are currently 41 members of this year's cohort. 26.6% have US citizenship, 43.8% have dual citizenship, and 29.6% have international citizenship. Of that, there are 18 countries and 10 different states and commonwealths represented amongst those 41 members. And to further break it down, 3 attended an Irish secondary school where they took the Irish Leaving Cert. 5 sat A-levels, 4 took the International Baccalaureate, and 40 attended a local secondary school, private and public. So as you can tell, it's a super diverse group. It's very international. There's people from all over the world that you get to meet through the dual BA, and it's just really cool to have that experience and just meet people who come from such different backgrounds. So why choose the dual BA? I can only speak to myself as to why I chose the dual BA, but for me it was truly just the best of both worlds. It allowed me to live in 2 amazing cities, Dublin and New York, and it allowed me to have both that domestic university experience as well as that international university experience. For me as well, the idea of a small cohort within a much larger research university was something that also really appealed to me, and so far I haven't been disappointed by it. Trinity and Columbia in and of themselves are amazing world-class universities, and the degree just spoke to me. You know, I really wanted to study milk. I loved every course on the syllabus. I was excited to take all those classes. The political science department at Columbia is quite possibly the best in the entire world, so to kind of get that experience would be amazing. So for me, there was a lot of different factors, but I think the big thing was the fact that I got to have the best of both worlds, truly. I got to have international and domestic experience. I got to be in 2 major cities. I got to study 2 degrees I'm equally passionate about, and I also get the large research university experience while also having that small college feel through the cohort. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to be linking all of the admissions and dual BA resources down below in the description box. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm going to have the Instagram for the class of 24 as well as the email down below. Feel free to leave a comment. I'll try and get back to it as soon as I can. And make sure to also check out the rest of the channel. We have plenty of other admissions videos on there with tips and tricks for specific majors as well. So make sure to go and check that out.